what the Clippers need to do to win this championship, what the Clippers need to do to be the best team they can be when the playoffs start, what the Clippers need to do to get into the playoffs with the right mentality is to play with a sense of urgency. And when I say play with a sense of urgency, let me break that down for you. Play with a sense of urgency as in you want to be a great team. Don't play as a team that has the most talent in the NBA or one of the teams that has the most talent. Because if you play off of talent and talent only, the same thing that happened last year is going to happen this year. You run up against a team like Denver who plays with camaraderie and chemistry, and they knock you off because they like each other more. They respect each other more. They play for one another. They believe in one another, and they play within their means. I don't want to see games where Paul George is running out here shooting 30 shots, and they're all ill-advised shots, and they're shots that he could have passed up on just to give somebody else an opportunity to score. I don't want to see Paul George doing things like that. I don't want to see Paul George taking shots over two players, two defenders, when Terrence Mann is standing in the corner wide open for a shot. Or Rondo standing on the elbow wide open for a shot. Or possibly Kawhi Leonard standing in the corner ready to take a shot. See, I don't want to see stuff like that. Because stuff like that is going to get the Clippers beat. Stuff like that is going to make the Clippers lose to a team in the playoffs they have no business losing to. And these are the things I'm talking about. If you want to be a great player, that's one thing. Paul George already is a really, he's a great player. He's a top 10 player in the league. But to be a champion is another level. You have to be an elite player, an elite type superstar to win championships, multiple championships. Paul George doesn't have one championship because of his ways. And I'm not saying all the blame should be on Paul George, because there's other things too. As far as Kawhi needs to be more aggressive at times and take over games the way we've seen him do before when he was on Toronto. And I know it's kind of hard having a teammate like Paul George, because Paul George still has this notion that he's a number one instead of a number two. Don't get it twisted. Paul George is a number two superstar. He is not a number one superstar. Anybody who says he's a number one superstar does not know what they're talking about. They do not understand what he is. He is a very, very good player. He is a star player in this league, but he is a really good number two. It's almost like Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis is a star player in this league. He's a top 5-10 player himself. But when you look at him on the Lakers, he fits better as a number two player to LeBron James. Now, when LeBron is gone, of course, AD is the guy. Ain't no doubt about that. But if he plays with another dominant player like LeBron, he has to understand you're a better number two player when it comes to winning championships. Because to be a championship type player is different. You have to look at the game different. You have to see the game from a different angle. You can't be a regular star player that just know how to put the ball in the basket and that's it. Because if that's the case, all superstars that's ever been superstars in the NBA since the beginning of time would have a championship. It's the reason why all superstars don't have a championship. Because either they didn't have the opportunity to be around players who can teach them to be that way or see the game from a different angle to be a champion, or they didn't learn it themselves to see the game from a different angle to become a championship mentality type player. That's just the way it is. It's not even debatable. So like I said, Kawhi has to be more assertive at times and impose his will on games the way he's done in the past. He just has to do that. But I also understand the only way for him to do that is for Paul George to be who he needs to be. So I get it. I understand it. I see it. But at the same time, the team has to understand it. Now I will say this too. Ty Lue has to make better adjustments in games. I can't see games where it looks like they don't know what they're doing out there on the court for several minutes. I've seen several games with the Clippers where they go through 2, 3 minute scoring droughts because, either Paul George is taking shots he's not supposed to, or, Kawhi's not being aggressive enough at times, or, they just don't look together at times during games. And I understand in a 4 quarter game, things like that are going to happen at times. But when you look at the other good teams, when they're healthy, they don't look like that, or at least they don't look like that when they don't need to. Because when you look at a team like Denver, it's not many times where I look at Denver play. And I'm not ever say I'm a Denver Nuggets fan, but it's not many times I look at Denver where they look like they don't know what they're doing out there, or they look like their offense is stagnant to a point where they don't know where they're going with the ball. And what I'm trying to say is you could be stagnant in a game where you're not, scoring points because, everybody's just missing shots right now. That's okay. But at the same time, at least let the offense look like you're running it the way you're supposed to. Like Ty Lue said, we're gonna be a triangle offense type team. Okay, well we're running the triangle, then why doesn't it look like it? Why does it look like sometimes you don't even know what the triangle offense is or what it's supposed to be like? You said you were gonna run the offense through Kawhi and the triangle offense in the beginning of the season. Well, if that's the case, how come I don't see Kawhi Leonard posting up a lot of times with his back to the basket, the 17 feet mid range, getting it where he likes it, and that's where they run the offense through? How come it doesn't look like that? But you know why it doesn't look like that? Because Ty Lue is not living up to what he said so far. They are beating teams off of their talent. They're not beating teams because they actually have that chemistry. You need chemistry to win championships. You cannot play against these other teams and don't have that chemistry. And the other night it showed. When they played against the Denver Nuggets, they clearly should have beat them. I don't care if Michael Porter Jr. scored 25 plus points, even though I don't think he should have. I think somebody should have locked him up a little better than that. But I mean, that's a good night for him. Shout out to him for that. But to lose to a Denver team without Jamal Murray, their second best player, clearly, and Jokic is shorthanded because he doesn't have Jamal Murray. To lose to them with players like Aaron Gordon, Paul Millsap, some other guys on there that I don't even know, and they don't even have Will Barton. Will Barton is a part of their offense too. They don't even have him. To lose to a team that's that depleted, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, look at the Lakers last night. They don't have LeBron James. They didn't have Schroeder. They just had Anthony Davis. And Anthony Davis and the Lakers beat the Denver Nuggets last night. Held them to 89 points. But you have Kawhi Leonard and Paul George on the floor, and you can't beat a Nuggets team that don't even have Jamal Murray. Nor Will Barton. You see what I'm talking about? You're winning a lot of these games off of your talent. You're winning a lot of these games because you are more talented. You have better depth than a lot of other teams. You're not winning them because you actually know how to play together in situations where the jump shot isn't falling. Think about it. The Clippers are the number one three-point shooting team, the number one free throw shooting team. Okay, great. But what about when the jump shot isn't falling? Do you just keep shooting the whole time and put yourself in a deficit even more rather than just be aggressive and drive to the paint and try to draw fouls? See, I've seen Kawhi Leonard do that before. Kawhi Leonard his jump shot has been off, but he tries to go to the basket and draw fouls, get more opportunities to put his team in position to score, put the other team in foul trouble, put your team in the bonus because the other team is in foul trouble. I've seen Kawhi do it, but Kawhi's won championships before. He knows these things. I've seen Rondo do it because he's won championships. But when you look at the other players on the team, when they're struggling, they do the same thing they do when they're not struggling. They just shoot jumpers the whole time and don't even try to really put the team in position to win. And that's what I'm saying. When you have chemistry and everybody's on one accord, you win championships. And I can tell you, you may not believe me, but the Clippers are more talented. They have more depth. They have a deeper roster than a lot of other teams that they've been playing. They have a deeper roster, which makes them a better team and make them overcome a lot of things. When you are the number one 3-point shooting team, yeah, you're going to beat a lot of teams. Just like they did. They beat a lot of teams. But they're not. The reason why they didn't beat a team like the Denver Nuggets the other night, because the Denver Nuggets are just not any other team. The Denver Nuggets are a team with depth also. I mean, Paul Millsap is not what he used to be, but he's still a really good player. When they're healthy, look at the depth they do have. Jamal Murray. They have Jokic. They got Michael Porter Jr. They got Will Barton. They got Paul Millsap coming off the bench. And they got other key players that play really good in their system and how they like to do things. And Mike Malone is actually an X's and O's adjustment type coach. You see what I'm talking about? You shouldn't lose to a team that doesn't have Jamal Murray, but you did. Did the Lakers lose to him last night? No, they didn't. The Lakers didn't have LeBron James. Now, of course, the Lakers are more desperate need to win. I give you that. But at the same time, you shouldn't lose to a team that's shorthanded of a star player. Like if Denver had two superstars, it would be Jamal Murray and Jokic, if you want to classify them like that. But at the same time, you lost to them either way with both of your superstar players on the floor. That's unacceptable. But those are the things I'm talking about. You're not going to win the playoffs with losses like that. Because that's a loss that the Clippers shouldn't have. Because clearly you have a more healthier team, you have a better team, and you have more depth. But that team apparently has more camaraderie than you do because they're not winning off talent. They're winning because they're playing within their means and within their system. And if the Clippers don't get that in their head, they won't win a championship ever. But if they plan on winning the championship, and what can help them win a championship is getting that in their DNA as soon as possible. And that's just my take on it. That's just how I see it. But I want you to leave any comments in the comment section. Let me know what you think. If what you think what I'm saying is not true, or what you think of what I'm saying is not your opinion, I'm totally fine with that. Leave any comments in the comment section. I really do appreciate any comments you have, any comments you decide to put my way. It's all gratified. It's all looked at in a really positive way because I really want to know what you think. And next time.